Hi guys, Terane here, and today we'll be talking about UberEats delivery for bicycle. Most of what I'll be discussing here also applies to driving and walking, but primarily this is focused on bicycle deliveries. So in this video, I'll be discussing equipment, legalities, health and safety, order pickup, delivery, Uber support, tips, and pay. Let's dive in. So if you're watching this video, chances are you're interested in Uber bike deliveries. Either you are currently a bike courier or you're thinking of signing up. So what does it take to get started with Uber Eats? First, you need to sign up. So for me, it took 2 days for my background check to be completed. Also for that, what you will need a bicycle. Personally, I would recommend an e-bike. Chances up, because e-bike means work smarter, not harder. An e-bike is the way to go. A regular bicycle takes a lot of effort, but chances are you may not have the money right now to purchase an e-bike, so just get the best bike you can get and then upgrade to an e-bike later on. And if you're gonna get an e-bike, I suggest get one that's long range, that can go at least 100 kilometers on a single charge. So you will need a delivery bag. Please stay clear of the Uber Eats delivery bag. It's trash. Sorry for bashing that bag, but the bag can never stay level. So I'll discuss later on about spills. So your liquid will always spill in that bag. Not good for you or the customer. And you need a helmet. This is very important. Always wear a helmet. And in some jurisdictions, helmets are a legal requirement, but regardless, just wear a helmet. It will save you in the long run, trust me. Because you never know when something was gonna happen. And you will need a cell phone. You will need a cell phone with a data plan, to be exact. So that's what you need. You don't need a lot of data to do Uber Eats, but an unlimited data plan always works best. So you can do multiple things in your downtime or listen to podcasts or stream without having to worry about data. And I recommend having spare parts and spare equipment. So maybe tire tubes, tires, stuff like that, just in case you get a flat, you need to change your tire real quickly and so you're not out for days. Another thing which is important, grooming and personal hygiene. Guys, please, shower. Please, please, please. Shower before you start. You have to treat this as a job. You need to shower and present yourself. It's not cool. And I'll touch on it later. Something I see people do in the summertime, which is you're putting yourself at risk there, but I'll touch on it later. So let's move on to the legalities. So here I'm not offering any legal advice or financial advice. Just speak to a small business professional or a tax professional, and they'll give you the correct advice that works for your jurisdiction and you. So doing Uber Eats, you are an independent contractor, not an employee. And that means you're running your own business. And you have to treat it as such. So the main aim of the business is to make profit. Remember this, always keep this in the back of your mind. And you have to treat it as such. So steps you should take, these are not necessary, but I highly recommend them. Register the business. This is not a requirement from Uber, but register the business. It will save you in the long run, because though your income provides proof you're running a business, having the legal paperwork just in case you need a grants or something, it's there. So register your business. There's tons of services that offer business registration. You can do it yourself. After you register your business, open a business bank account. And the reason I say this is so you can keep track of all your income and expenses. It will save you tax time, because you will get taxed on the income you earn from Uber, and you want to be able to deduct your operating expenses. from your income. And then you need to track your expenses. I did mention the bank account, but there's QuickBooks Self-Employed, a great piece of software to track your expenses, or simply use a spreadsheet, but always save your receipts. Always save your receipts for tax purposes. Next is health and safety. All right, this is important. All right, so when it comes to health and safety, number one thing, wear a helmet. I mentioned before, wear a helmet. Because the thing is, on the road, we have a lot of zombies on the road. Everyone is distracted. So you can't be distracted and the drivers are distracted. A lot of drivers are distracted. Just look around you and you notice everyone is on their cell phones at all the time. No one's paying attention. So you have to be steadfast and always pay attention to what's happening around you, or you will get hit. I can't tell you how many times drivers try to run me off the road while I'm riding in the bicycle lane, on the shared lanes. Even in the bike lane, I've had drivers driving in the bike lane. So always pay attention on the road. So a common practice for some of the bike couriers is to have the phone in one hand like this, and that's a no-no. Get a pair of Bluetooth earbuds. True wireless is always great. That will use this for navigation and whatever you're doing. You don't need to be looking at your phone to see where you're going. And also, phone mount works. I personally keep my phone in my pocket, and always pull over if you need to check something on your phone. Because again, you never know. And for you guys working at night, chances are you'll be working at some nights, because weekends, Friday evenings, the dinner rush, you're gonna be working at night eventually. So at night, you need to be visible. And this is important. You need to be visible. It's best that they can spot you from outer space, but that may not be practical for everybody. So you need lights on your bike. And a lot of us have lights on our bike. But I do notice, to preserve battery life, especially for some of the guys riding e-bikes, they don't turn the lights on at night because they want to preserve battery life. So you have to decide which is more important: the $3 delivery that I may or may not get a tip for, or my life. Always choose your safety first. Turn on your lights at night. And pedestrians, you have to look out for pedestrians. Because pedestrians, even in bike lanes, they'll walk out. So in a situation like this, you do need a bell on your bike. A horn is preferred, because what I have noticed, pedestrians don't react well to a car horn when you're walking across the bike lane. They just don't react. And I realize drivers don't react to bicycle bells. They react to car horns. So getting an electronic bell where you can switch to modes works really great, so you can get everyone's attention. Also, in regards to health and safety, Uber does provide insurance while you're actively delivering. In some jurisdictions, they have comprehensive insurance, but you have to check your own jurisdiction for that. And let's move on to what you guys have been waiting for, and I'm waiting for the money part, but this is important: order pickups. So, with order pickups, this is important. You do not get paid to wait. I repeat, you do not get paid to wait. Repeat after me. I do not get paid to wait. All right. Now we have that settled there. So when it comes to order pickups, this is pretty straightforward in the app. I'll go over navigation. So within the app, you can use the built-in navigation system within the Uber app, which kind of not so great. Trust me, you'll see it's crappy. But Uber only gives you the option to use Google Maps as an external map. Personally, I prefer Apple Maps, but because Apple Maps tells me exactly what the address I'm pulling up to, where Google Maps just say arrived. So Google Maps is a preferred method for me. Maybe it's going to be for you also. When it comes to restaurants, so a lot of restaurants, when you're picking up at a restaurant, you have to read the instructions. Because some restaurants, the name on the building does not correspond to the restaurant itself, as several restaurants operate ghost kitchens. So maybe a chicken shop has an ice cream restaurant or ice cream store, whichever you want to call it, also operating within the same facility. So you may be looking for the name and cannot find the location. So to pay attention to the address and location and read instructions. The reason I say read instructions because I had a pickup once where I had to go to the alley, climb up a fire escape, and enter through the back to pick up the food, as there was no front entrance. So always read the instructions. So I told you, you do not get paid to wait, and I have to hammer it in your head. You're a business. Time equals money. When you're at a restaurant, several things will happen. Sometimes the order is just not ready. Personally, I don't wait more than 5 minutes for an order. If it's not ready within 5 minutes, I cancel and just go. The restaurant staff, they tend to be nice. Even when they're having a bad day, some of them are really nice. They're friendly. Sometimes they get even free food. I get lots of popsicles and even sushi at one point, but for the sushi. And they're really nice, and they will tell you, hey, 2 minutes for the order to be ready. Whatever they tell you, just add 2 more minutes to it, realistically. Sometimes they're accurate, but I always add 2 more minutes to whatever time they tell me. Sometimes, so this is the red flag here. Whenever they cannot let you know when the food will be ready, just cancel. Unless there's an exceptions. So if especially with you're in surge pricing, never wait, you're in surge, just cancel. But maybe in your area it's super slow at the moment and no orders and you don't mind waiting a little extra time, that's fine. That's perfectly fine if you don't mind waiting. But personally, I don't wait more than 5 minutes unless under extreme circumstances. Another thing Uber does, we have a thing called stacked orders where Uber would give you 2 orders together. Sometimes it's at the same restaurants or 2 different restaurants. So if you have a stacked order, and when I say 2 orders together, it's by couriers. Car drivers get 4 or 5, sometimes more orders stacked together. But for us, they limit to 2 orders as of now. So what you need to do when you go to a restaurant, so if it's stacked order, you go to the same restaurant and one order is ready and the next one won't be ready till the next 10-15 minutes, don't wait. Just cancel the one that's not ready and keep it moving. It's not worth your time, trust me. If it's with another restaurant, you go to the restaurant, it's not ready, just cancel. Keep it moving. And I did mention before that you need a delivery bag, and that means an insulated delivery bag. This is not a requirement from Uber. It's not. And some restaurants don't require you to have it. Some do. Some will not give you the food without the insulated bag. But here's what. You need an insulated bag. You cannot be bringing cold food to people. It's not. Sometimes the food may be cold before you pick it up. That's not your problem there. But you have to deliver the food the best quality possible to the customer. And with that, I'll touch on this one thing. I told you to stay away from the Uber backpack, but I see a lot of guys with little tiny delivery backpacks. Listen up, the little delivery backpacks are hurting you. It cannot hold, I mentioned stack orders. Sometimes it's a lot of pieces in the stack order. Those little tiny backpacks can't hold everything. So you'll be rejecting orders or canceling orders because you cannot take it. So always get the largest bag you can get. Personally, right now I'm using a 62-liter bag. I'll show you my whole setup. So always get a bag that can at least hold a 14-inch pizza. Because you do get orders from Pizza Hut in those places, and sometimes they're big orders, and big orders normally equal big tips, normally. So get the largest bag you can. Also, try to mount your bag as you see from my setup. try to have a rack mounted bag. Reason why I say this is because those orders do get heavy, especially when you pick up Chinese food. They do get super heavy, and it's gonna hurt your back. It's gonna hurt your back eventually, especially if you're not stretching. So try to mount your bag, and always bring an additional insulated, those dollar store insulated bag. Just bring one of those with you all the time, just in case you need it, because sometimes you do need it. And with that, also, coffee orders. So you're picking up coffees, or coffees and liquids in general. You have to be super careful with coffee orders and liquid orders. Starbucks is good. They pack their coffee really good, so I can't complain about Starbucks. I never had a major issue with Starbucks Village. But other coffee places, sometimes I have issues with those because they don't pack them properly. Sometimes the drinks, it's in a bag, but not in a drink holder. And you're biking and it just flips over. The whole entire order is destroyed. I will touch into that when I touch the Uber support. So always make sure if they're giving you a drink without a drink tray, ask for a drink tray. And make sure you secure the liquids, and ask that the liquids be properly secured within the bag. And be extra careful when you're carrying soups, and you can see what's inside the orders. So be careful when you're carrying soups and other stuff. Be careful, because you don't want a spill, and a spill may mean you have to go home and call it a day. All right. I think I did that for order pickup. Yeah, so let's go to delivery. So I mentioned the whole navigation system already, Uber, yada, yada, yada. You know what? You can actually use your own mapping system by manually typing the address in the mapping system. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to touch on is meet at door deliveries. So within the Uber app, when you pick up an order, sometimes the customer will say, hey, meet at door. Okay, so when you see meet at door deliveries, the minute you're going to leave the restaurant, please send a message saying, hey, I'm on my way. The Uber app already notifies them, but please send that message. The reason being, that will let you know if the customer will be at the door when you arrive. And when you arrive at the meet at door location, if the customer's not there, send a message, hey, I've arrived. So if they haven't read your first message or responded to your first message or your second message, then wait 1 minute, and give them a call. And if they haven't picked up, you can send another message. And then Uber, the app has a built-in timer. It used to be 7 minutes. A 7-minute timer, if I'm not mistaken. 7 or 8 minutes. I don't remember exactly. But there's a new timer where you can leave the food in a secure location and snap a photo of it if the customer does not respond to your messages or your calls. It's going to voicemail. And this is not just for leave at door deliveries. You will encounter several things sometimes. Sometimes you get orders which was just a postal code or zip code. Sometimes there's no apartment number. There's no information. You're trying to contact the customer's not responding. You can contact Uber support or go to where the address is. Like the other day I got a order. I picked the order up, start delivery. There was only a postal code. I messaged the customer several times. I called, voicemail. So the app said it was at a certain house. I delivered the order at a certain house. That's it. You do that if that's necessary. Because you can't stand for 30 minutes for someone to get back to you. And this is another thing with deliveries. I've done over 1,500 deliveries already. So something that embarrassingly happens to me, I've delivered to the wrong address 5 times. Which is a good track record, but sometimes you have to pay attention to the address. You always double check the address. Double check, triple check if you need to. Because the address may be 58 and for some reason you see 56. Stuff happens. And I delivered to the wrong address several times. One time the person came out just in time to say, hey, I'm over here. After I already took the picture and hit deliver. Another thing with delivery is stack orders. I mentioned stack orders before. Always double check the name on the order before you leave it at the door. I did this once. Good thing the guy came out. Well, actually twice. I did it twice. The first and both guys that I delivered an order to, like, hey, this is not my order. So always double check the name on the order. Because sometimes you think you know which order is which, but you actually got it switched up. Maybe there's a big bag and a little bag, and you're like, oh, the big bag is for X and the little bag is for Y. But it was the other way around. So always double check the names in order when you're doing stack deliveries. Let's see if there's anything I need to cover. Oh yeah, presentation of the order. So always present your order respectfully to the customer. Personally, I prefer to leave at door deliveries. Sometimes you can leave it in the lobby of the building. They have a delivery table there. You just go leave your order. So when you're leaving an order at the door, always, I learned this from another driver, always place the bag with a name facing the customer. So when they open the door, they see it, they pick it up. Small detail, but people appreciate the small details. Also, this is a glaring thing. I don't know how people don't notice this. A lot of people have screen doors and the screen doors open outward. Please pay attention to this when you go to deliver something. You cannot leave an order in front of a door that opens outward. Always leave it to the side so there's clearance for them to open the screen door so it doesn't tip the order over, especially if it's super liquid. Just always keep that in mind. When you go to deliver, always put it in a safe place where it won't be tipped over. And mentioning safe space again, remember one of those orders I told you that I delivered the wrong address? A raccoon ate the order when I went back to double check. Because the customer called me yelling that they never got the order. And I'm like, yes, I delivered your order. So I went back to the address to see if to double check, and when I went to the address, the raccoon was eating the order. Then I called support, and then they verified I did deliver it to the wrong address. It was supposed to be 58, and I delivered to 56. So, yeah. Keep it safe. Another thing, when I just started, I felt guilty a lot of times when leave at the door deliveries. Sometimes you go to some houses and leave at the door means you leave it on the ground. Sometimes there's a little table there. Whenever there's a little table, I leave the order on the table. Suffice it can fit on the table and it's close enough to the door. Or if the customer requested me put it at a specific spot, I will. But sometimes it's a leave at the door delivery and the ground is dirty. Sometimes it's filthy and you feel kind of bad putting the order there, but that's their request. So don't feel bad about that. You're just following the instructions. And speaking of instructions, this is critical and important. Remember this. Do not knock or ring the doorbell unless the customer explicitly asks you to ring the doorbell or knock. Do not knock or ring the doorbell unless it's explicit by the customer, because people are sleeping, people have babies sleeping, animals. Just don't knock. Sometimes you're in a meeting, don't do it, because then you complain that you didn't get a tip. No, just don't knock or anything unless the customer asks you to do such a thing. And that's it for delivery. So let's go to Uber support. So when do you contact support? So you contact support if a customer messages you and said, hey, I don't want this order anymore. Can you cancel? Don't cancel. Call support, let support cancel the order. Because if you cancel, it's going to bounce back to another driver. And especially if you're on your way to the restaurant, you want to get paid. So call support and they'll reimburse you. Normally it's like $3 and they cancel the order for you. And when the restaurant is closed or unable to fulfill the order, you call support. Support will cancel and give you a little reimbursement for your time. So I mentioned the Uber bag spilling liquid. So no one wants this to happen, but sometimes orders spill and the order is destroyed and you cannot deliver to the customer. Unfortunately, it happens. The order gets destroyed because the order wasn't packed properly or whatever circumstance, and you cannot deliver to the customer. You will have to call support for them to cancel the order for you. But this should not be a habit. You should always make sure the food is packed, sometimes out of your control, and make sure you secure it in your bag so stuff like this does not happen to you. And if you have technical difficulties, like for example, you have a flat or something, you can call support and they'll rectify the situation for you. And I think I'm missing one thing. I'm missing something important here, but I'll touch on it. When I remember, I'll touch on it in the end if I remember. So next is tips and pay. In my area, there is like a base pay of $3 for delivery, and I think this is pretty standard in a lot of places. The $3 deliveries, this is without surge pricing. I'll break down what surge pricing is. So without surge pricing, the base pay is around $3. It does go up during breakfast rush, if there's a breakfast rush in your area, lunch rush, and dinner rush. The pricing will increase from $3. Depending on where you live, Uber may or may not show the tips with the order. In my area, we don't see the tips until an hour after. You just get the delivery fee only. Don't see the tips. In some locations, the tip is included with the delivery fee, so you're able to see that the order included tips. There is a thing called tip baiting, which I've seen several people complain about on the internet forums, where a customer adds a tip to bait the driver to pick up the order and remove the tips later, which is kind of wrong. Uber should take care of that. They should implement a system of some sort if someone keeps removing their tip to block that customer's tip from showing until after something, so the drivers don't get that end of the stick. So search pricing. So everyone loves search pricing. This is when the map is like red or orange and blue. That's the search pricing. So search pricing can go up to very high. I've seen even $16 for search pricing. So search pricing is when demand is higher than supply. That's where you want to take advantage. So try to go in the areas where the search pricing is high. Chances are, sometimes when there's a huge search pricing, you don't get tips, but sometimes who cares? At that point in time, the search price is high enough, and you don't really care about the tips as much because it more than makes up for any tips you'll get. And speaking of tips, around 25, sometimes 50% of your money will come from tips sometimes. I've gotten what they call a unicorn. I've gotten a $100 tip before for, I think it was 1.7 kilometers for a $3 order, if I'm not mistaken. And I got a $100 tip. That made my day that day because it was raining and all that. So you'll get those good tippers. Something to keep in mind, you have to know your market. You will have to know your market. So you should know the areas where the good tippers are and the no tippers are, where the high delivery fees are, where the low delivery fees are. So in my area, where I work most of the time, the delivery fees are low, but the tips are high. Versus in the downtown core, the delivery fees are high, but the tips can be meager. So I choose a low delivery and higher tips because that works out better for me. So you have to understand your market and see which areas work best. There's some areas which I refuse to deliver to. There are some no tip areas where once I brought, it was over $60 worth of food. That's when I was wearing a backpack and my back was breaking. Well, the customer didn't care about that, and the person did not tip. That was a final straw for me in that area because no one in the area tips. A lot of people avoid that area as much as possible because they do not tip. And next, we're gonna speaking about cashing out. So how much can you make in Uber? So The most I've made in a week, because I don't work as much as I could, I'm gonna increase my frequency. So the most I make in a week is $1,000 in a week. And with that, it can be increased. So the more hours you put in, the greater your reward, really. But with one thing, Uber has daily cash outs. So with the pay, you can get paid daily. There's also instant cash outs, but there's a daily payout and weekly automatically on. So this will be Monday at 3 a.m. Uber automatically cashes out whatever money you have in your account and send it to your bank. So be aware. I recommend you cash out on a daily basis. Daily cash outs are free, at least in my market. Just cash out on a daily basis because you never know. You may have money sitting in your Uber account and you're locked out of your account and you cannot access those monies. So always cash out on a daily basis. And one thing I say cash out on a daily basis because there's Uber scams happening where drivers have been scammed and lost their money because there's people posting this Uber support to gain access to your accounts. I'll mention that in a separate video. We'll dive into Uber scams. So I think I've covered everything here. Let me know if there's anything I missed. I did cover more things in the first video I recorded, but yeah, I was there talking to myself for however long on camera when it was not recording. So if there's anything I missed, let me know in the comments and I can create a second video explaining something else that you may want me to explain. So if you have any questions, again, comments, start a discussion, ask me anything, and I'll create a video on the topic you want me to discuss. And in the future, I will just be discussing multi-apping because I've been doing multi-apping lately. And thank you guys for watching. And until next time, I'm Terane. Yes, don't know why I'm doing a little dance, but that's my outro dance. Okay. Bye, guys.